Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we are back with another speed build. This speed build I did in the wonderful, amazing Mount Komorebi. I wanted to do kind of some like shop style slash home situations. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but basically I wanted some shops that had houses on top. Is the simplest way of putting that. I don't know why I tried to say anything super complicated. That's simply what I wanted to do. So I figured I wanted to try and stay on theme. Obviously, Mount Komorebi is supposed to be kind of Japanese inspired. So I decided to do a little boba shop in one of the houses, and then the other house has a hot pot shop. I was about to say katsu. I don't know why my brain wanted to say katsu. No idea, but it's a hot pot shop. And I wanted it to kind of fit in with the vibe of the rest of the town area for the most part. I toiled back and forth of whether or not, I don't know why I'm struggling pronunciating my words today. I struggled with whether or not I wanted them to like look a little bit more run down and like they've been there for a very long time, or just make them look like, you know, newer, decent kind of. Not saying that old houses run is bad, but you know what I'm trying to say, like a more modern take or not. But I've pretty much just kind of stuck with a little bit of in between. I did not want them to be super modern, just so that they could fit properly in with the rest of the build. Pretty typical of me. I just have the tendency to take forever when it comes to building, because I think I'm just like really indecisive and I go back and forth with what I want. And so it just adds to the struggle. I will definitely do my best to make sure that I cut down as much as I possibly can with this, but already with my initial cut, as I'm doing this voiceover, it's already 50 minutes long. I really don't think that I'm going to try and post a 50-minute long speed build, but you never know. But like I said, I will try to cut some of this down because some of it is not necessarily for you to try and watch me just go back and forth with random things. I struggled with just picking up colors. Honestly, like I just couldn't decide on like the colors, and like I always struggle with like window placement on like what looks good and what actually is like functional and whatnot. It's just, I don't know why I struggle so much with that kind of stuff. I tried to make sure to incorporate some of the more like very unique pieces, or just like very specific pieces that came with Mount Komorebi that obviously kind of give off that Japanese vibe. Obviously, unfortunately, as much as I would have loved to, I have never been to Japan, and I did like try and look up pictures and stuff to kind of get a good idea and vibe of what I wanted the houses or the lot what I wanted the lot to look like, basically. So it's not like it's not going to be necessarily accurate. I also tried to look up the little, I can't even remember what it's called now, but the little mats that they have that's supposed to be like put and placed in certain ways. I tried to look up how you're supposed to go about doing that, but you know, it just, my brain wasn't ready to intake that much information, because I did want one of the homes to kind of give off a more traditional vibe. But it was just a bit of a struggle for me to try and like get a good idea and figure out a good layout for it. I feel like maybe if I just did a house and not also trying to incorporate a whole restaurant business situation along with it, I think it would be more reasonable to do that. But you know, maybe I will do that at some other point in time. And I feel like with this build, I definitely decided to go a little bit more detailed when it came to the outside of my lot, as far as like not just like plant wise, but like with like other debug decoration things, more than I ever have in my life before. Because normally I'm just like, let's focus on the house, and then at the very end, I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably do something to the outside. And sometimes I honestly completely forget to do anything to the outside. But for some reason, I guess because it was like a shop and I was inspired by like looking at other like shop inspo kind of pics, from like different pictures and stuff that I saw that were in Japan, that I really wanted to give off that vibe and like make sure that it like fit well. So I think that's part of the reason why I probably spent a little bit more time and tried a little bit harder with making sure that I got a nice looking living area also outside of the build, not just on the inside. So here I'm finally starting to kind of work on, well, that was short-lived. Okay, so here I finally start working on doing some of the inside of the builds and everything. For the build on the right side, I literally did have to think about that for quite a moment there. I struggled especially with the layout for the upstairs living space. It's a very similar, you can see that it is a very similar layout to what I did with the little British, or I shouldn't say British, but it was in Britechester. That's why my brain decided to say British, but the little Britechester cafe build that I did, also it had like an upstairs living space too. It's very similar as far as the layout with that, of having like a little like sectioned off bit from the store that leads up on into the living area. But for some reason I just really struggled with the layout for that. And then for the boba shop, I only used some of the downstairs area because I figured it's supposed to be just like a small little coffee shop kind of place. You know, it doesn't need to have like a huge amount, but I also just struggled a lot with like where to place the tables because I didn't want them to be huge buildings and lots and everything. And with me putting it up on the platform, I do not know if it's functional, but I just felt like it looked better on the platform. The platform may need to be taken down because I just wanted there to be some sort of separation between how you get into the house versus where the store was. I don't know. I just decided to do that. I probably could have also maybe done like some sort of like a backdoor situation. Didn't think about that. And I wanted to go for like a very whimsical kind of vibe because I feel like in Japan and just in Asia, specifically, like they have a lot of like very eclectic, unique kind of cafes and shops and stuff like that. Like I'm pretty sure it's in South Korea where they have, or I think it is South Korea, or is it Japan? I don't know. One of those places, they have like that one cafe where it's like, it looks like a drawing, but it's like 3D. I don't know. That's a terrible way of explaining it, but if you know, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and I just feel like they have very unique cafes and stuff, and so I kind of wanted to go for that kind of vibe, but I just didn't see that much that kind of fit the idea that I had in my head. So I do change the wallpaper. I do not keep it that like polka dot pink situation because I just did not completely vibe with it, but I was really trying to go for the whimsical look, and so that's what I kind of start doing also in that home as well. I do change it up a little bit just because, like I said, it was just not doing what I wanted it to do, so I changed up my mind a little bit there. But I think overall it turned out pretty well, but you know, I'll say it my whole entire life when it comes to building. I'm just not a typical, like, very colorful build kind of girl. And so it's a struggle and a half when it comes to doing builds that do incorporate a lot more color and everything. I just struggle for some reason with that. So I did, initially, I was kind of vibing with it maybe being like more of like a fairy tale storybook kind of vibe in here, but I do change it up a little bit just because I was, like I said 10,000 times, I was really struggling with the look of everything, but I still wanted it to be very colorful and everything, so I just had to pick and choose what I wanted to do. And I feel like with my choices, I don't remember exactly what I ended up doing with the high tables, because I did want to incorporate some high tables, but I don't think the tables were matching with the tables that I already had. So I went back and forth a lot with that on exactly what colors to do for that, because I wanted to keep the like blue and pinkish vibe going. And this table right here, this little dining table, I went and spent probably, it feels like a whole hour going back and forth with what I wanted for that table. And I am pretty sure I cut that out because I just was struggling so much with that. And I also struggled with putting tiles on the ceiling. For some reason, it just wasn't letting me. I think it may have to do with the platforms, but I don't know. But I've really been enjoying playing with platforms. I really never played with platforms that much before, but for some reason it's just been really fun for me lately. So I wanted to keep my platforms, and I also wasn't exactly sure exactly what the issue was. I just assumed it was probably the platforms, because I've heard that. I think that has been an issue for people before, is sometimes flooring in general when it comes to platforms. And anything that's not just, you know, your typical straight flooring in a sense can go awry to some degree. So this living area, I'm pretty sure like does a complete 180. It does not look like this. I think I maybe keep the frame TV and that's about it. But I could not figure out exactly what I wanted in this area for the longest time, and I just went back and forth with what looked the best here, because I wanted to incorporate the green, but I also wanted like the pink and everything, so I just couldn't really decide. And I feel like for this is another situation where my layouts for both of these houses are a little weird. I won't lie, they're a little weird. I think the one on the left is pretty normal for the most part, but it still is a little bit weird. But I want to incorporate the way that most of the bathrooms are and most of the other builds in this world, where the toilet area is separate from the rest of the bathroom. And this little bathroom, it's just supposed to be like a little mudroom situation. So I really didn't do that here. And also for the bathroom and the shop, I didn't do that where I separated the toilet and the sink situation, just because it is only a toilet and sink. I thought about trying to incorporate a stall, but obviously there wasn't enough space and I didn't want to take up any more space just for the bathroom. So we just went with a toilet situation. I don't think I keep that toilet because, again, I was trying to go for all the crazy, eclectic, weird kind of vibes, but I just didn't love it. So I do eventually change from the kitten vibe. Honestly, I could have maybe kept that and just maybe did like something different in the cafe and did like a cat cafe kind of vibe, but that wasn't what I had in mind. So the cafe, I didn't want to add anything extra to it at the time. So a little hard for me. It's just a struggle for me. Clearly, it's a big struggle for me. But I did have fun with this build. It took me, I think I ended up doing like 4 separate sessions, and each one was at least over an hour. I think one of them was over 2 hours. So I think this was definitely altogether another build that took me probably close to 8 hours, if not 8 hours. I feel like in general, it probably should not have taken me that long, especially because I did that whole townhouse one with 4 complete family homes, fully furnished, and that took me 8 hours. So doing just 2, even both have shops, so I guess in a way it is still 4, but it's not 4 complete, 3-level townhouse situations. It's just pretty much 2 levels and only 2 builds. It still took me forever. But it's like things like this where I wanted it to be 4 bedrooms, but the way everything was cutting and everything, it kind of was a little awkward. That's what I was struggling with. I just could not figure out how and where it would make sense to have all of these and like put the certain bits and pieces everywhere. So it was a bit of struggle because I don't like having a super area for the doors, but because it's separate from the rest of the bathroom areas, So you just got to do what you got to do. And I will be honest, I did do this build probably a month ago, and I just haven't had a lot of time to edit anything, and it's just, I don't know. I've just been struggling with finding time for this channel in general and doing things. I really enjoy doing the builds and whatnot that I do on the channel, and also the gameplay videos. I have some gameplay videos that I have to edit, but I just haven't had the time. I don't know. It's just been a struggle, but I'm hoping here soon that I can just try to kind of organize my time a little bit better so that I can dedicate a little bit, at least trying to edit something a little bit every day. So then that way I can go ahead and more content out. But we shall see. Because, like I said, it's been a struggle for me at least to kind of just focus on this channel in general and getting the content that I do want to get out. Just like today, it's the weekend, but I already had stuff planned and everything because it's my sister's birthday tomorrow. My birthday's in a week and a half, and it's also her graduation soon. And there's always something going on. So then I don't even have like the weekend all the time to be able to do things. And then it's like after work, a lot of times I'm like, I have to do this and that. And then also I'm tired and want to kind of have a little bit of time to rest. And I'll be honest, editing, especially when it's like hours and hours of footage, it's very daunting. And I am that kind of person. If it's a task that I find very daunting and, you know, kind of intimidating, I have to have the time to do a little bit of editing. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm still not going to be able to get even a whole video finished within that time frame. So I'm just going to try my best to do a little bit better, like I said, and maybe just do a little bit each day. So then that way, at least I can start the process of getting some stuff done. I also toiled with the idea of maybe just trying to get all of the stuff that I have done now completely edited, so then that way I at least have like a backlog of stuff that I can just go ahead and start putting out at least once a week, if not twice a week maybe. And then while I'm doing that, try to time that I spend filming, and then that way I can just do shorter editing periods of time, and then I will still have a good amount of content for my channel. But I don't know, because clearly we're struggling nonetheless. But I think I have like 2 Lucid Legacy videos to film, or not to film, but to edit. And I have not gotten to the point of actually editing them or anything like that. Well, I've edited them down a little bit, but like as far as doing the final edit and doing like the more detailed edit, I haven't gotten to that point yet. And it's just a little intimidating, like I said, just because I think one of them is like, even after I did like a quick edit, it was still a good 2 hours. But I don't know. It may not be 2 hours, but I feel like it's 2 hours in my head. And then I obviously want to get back to filming the 2 challenges that I'm doing, because for both of the challenges, we're pretty much getting ready to kind of start, if we haven't already started, on the second generations. For the Disney Princess Challenge that I was doing, I've pretty much completed Cinderella's part, and so we're mainly focusing on Aurora, but Aurora, I believe, is still a child. It's been that long, I really don't even remember. And then for the Lucid Legacy Challenge, I am sorry, my cats decided they wanted to be on top of my desk, and for some reason are now trying to pick a fight with each other. So I hope that you guys didn't hear that, but if you did, that's what that is. But as I was saying, for the Lucid Legacy, we are pretty much done our first gen. I don't think that we have any tasks left for the first gen, but we're not fully decided just yet on who is going to be the head of Gen 2. So we need to figure that one out. I don't know who I'm leaning towards. I was trying to just figure out who tends to lean more towards being on the computer more. And both of the twins kind of spend an equal amount of time on the computer, so I don't know which one we should go with. So I obviously need to make a decision on that soon, but I'm thinking maybe once we get into like the teen years, maybe one of them will be a little bit more into the technology side of things, and then that will help narrow down that decision. For me, at least, and make my life a little bit easier. And but anyways, going back to this build, I obviously made a lot of changes to this house because I was really struggling with the original entrance to the house that I had, and so I decided to just go for a side entrance on the outside. I don't know why with saying that. And that way I also was able to include a bit of a little dip in the ground so that like they can take off their shoes. I know obviously in traditional homes that area is a little bit bigger, so they actually, I am stumbling on my words so badly today. That area is a little bit bigger so they can actually properly have space to store their shoes and whatnot, but I didn't have a lot of space. I honestly could have just made this a 2-bedroom house and a 1-bedroom bathroom, or a 1-bedroom bathroom. I could have made a house and a 2-bedroom. Oh my gosh. I don't know what is wrong with me. I cannot speak today. I could have made it a 2-bedroom house and a 1-bathroom house, but I really wanted the 2, and I like the idea of 2 bedrooms, girls room. And I also, my brain was like, okay, what if they're obviously like of different kinds of shops, but I figured like maybe like obviously the families in general are very different vibey kind of people. Like this family on the right is more like classic, modern, clean cut kind of vibes, and then the other house on the other side is more, you know, eclectic. They like to have fun, you know, more chill vibes, and they don't really like each other or get along all that well. Like they don't outright hate each other or anything like that, but like they don't necessarily get along all that well. Teens maybe end up liking each other. I don't know. That's the idea though that I had in my head. And I think I ended up making the left side of the house. We'll see in a couple of minutes. A lot of minutes actually, probably. But I'm pretty sure I made it where there were 2 teens. It was a little bit more sportsy. One was more of like more like a gamer kind of vibe, and then I think we just had the main bedroom, and then the extra room was more of an office area. But that is only if I remember correctly what we did, because I think I had one of the teens was like a gamer teen, then another teen was more into like rock climbing, and then another teen was more into snowboarding. I wanted to try and incorporate a lot of themes, obviously, in there. And I wanted this family on the right to maybe be like more of a snowboarding kind of family. But since I had such like a modern, very sleek, not very like decorated style going on in that house, I found it hard to try and incorporate some of the snow gear decor and everything in it. So that's why I decided to just make the teen into snowboarding and everything to try and, you know, get that vibe in there because everything else is very plain and simple, decorated in general. But I mean, in a way, that's like a snowboarding, you know, little table there. So we have some snowboarding decoration stuff to kind of give off the vibes. You know, it's kind of giving what I wanted it to give. Not completely, but kind of. You know, beggars can't be choosers here. And I love the style. And as much as I love the style of the countertops that Komorebi, I just find them so hard to deal with sometimes. If you want them to look like lived in home, put things in the shelving there, and it's just really hard to make it look nice. I, for some reason, just really was vibing with adding in as much as I could on the outside because I kept on going back outside. And I wanted to have one of the little in the hot pot shop, but I couldn't really find anything that fit that worked with one of the bars because there just wasn't. I obviously could have made the bathroom only 2 stalls, but I wanted 3, and I also wanted that like big area, and obviously it would have been like super microscopic if I did take away some of the space that was given there. So our back situation and just made it and let it be super simple and plain as far as the bar area. And I still, to this day, have not gotten packed business. I haven't gotten it. So, I, as far as separating everything, and I honestly don't know if it's like considered a new lot type because I also haven't watched that many videos on people actually doing any of the like building and whatnot for it. That's literally how kind of busy I space that much lately because I just don't have as much time. And then also it's just not been, you know, like my sister, this is very telling. My sister in the last month have played The Sims, and she only just recently started playing Sims again. She's gotten it. She had it on our PlayStation. Obviously I can't really say our because I don't live at that anymore, but it was ours. She had it on the PlayStation for years and she only just started playing it recently, and then she decided to get it on her laptop so that she can have mods and stuff like that. But she has, with being in school and having to work pretty much a full-time job, she's had more time than I have to play The Sims, and has found more time than I have, because I will say too, even on some of the downtime that I've had, I haven't been gravitating towards playing The Sims. I think it's also just been because I know that I have these videos that need to be edited, and so it's like if I have time to play, then I have time to edit these, and I really don't want to. So I honestly might for this past month, because partially I am just dreading editing. I just go through these phases though when it comes to my channels, is editing, sometimes it's super fun, but then start having these like super long edits to do, and then they become very overwhelming, and I just avoid them. Like, no, that it's not the vibe for me. So I just avoid it. But slowly but surely, everything's kind of coming together, as you can see here. I am still struggling heavily with the vibe that I wanted. My cat also wants to talk into the mic for some reason right now. So there he is, Mr. I forgot his name for a hot second. His name is Dipper. I totally forgot his name in that moment in time. I'm so sorry. My brain is clearly not here. I'm telling you, there's something wrong with my brain right now. But I try to really how to give it that storybook look while still kind of being something that I like and not just something that like I feel like fits a theme, even if I don't necessarily love it. But I still honestly, I don't know what I end up keeping. That's a part of the problem because it's been so long since I did this build. I don't remember if I just kept what is there now and what I decided to change. But I will say, I kind of think I did a decent job with the bedrooms. At least I like the bedrooms. I've really struggled with this bedroom because obviously it's huge. I feel like this is the second time that I made like a super huge situation for the bedroom, the main bedroom. I don't know why or how I keep on managing to do that, but for some reason I've been into making ginormous bedrooms. Because the one, I literally ended up having to make a whole sitting area for that bedroom, awkwardly shaped bedroom. But I honestly, when I was making the little gamer room, I was like, oh, I should totally have gotten Little Simsies kit because that would have been perfect. I would have been able to use so many bits and pieces from that to make like a really nice, proper gaming room. But I feel like obviously the high school years pack has a good amount of great little bits and pieces to make a decent gaming room. And obviously, I also tried to be a little bit mindful of the fact that it's already a big build and there's already a lot going on. So I probably should be when it comes to adding stuff because it's going to look a little crazy. I also think I kind of forego any sort of curtains and stuff. I struggled with the windows. The windows were giving me a hard time for some reason. And I could not get like any sort of curtains to fit properly. They were always like from where the top of the window was, and even when I tried to alt place them, they still weren't working. I don't know if my game was just like glitching out or what, but it was a struggle. But at this point, little bits and pieces as far as decor and everything, so I might cut this out because obviously this is a very long video already. So I think I'm gonna cut down some of this so you guys don't have to endure it. I almost totally forgot to add in like a couple of plants here and there, but I did obviously very last minute decide to add in, you know, a few little plants to add to the vibes. And I also decided to change the stove situation just because I felt like it was a bit of an eyesore with what I had. But on to our very simple house that I feel like took me way less time to do once I was able to figure out the layout because it's clearly not as, you know, colorful as the other house. Looking back now, I don't know why, but I tend to always, I'm sorry, I totally just accidentally bumped into my cat when he was at peace and that disturbed him a lot. But I struggle so much sometimes with like just picking out wallpaper. It's just the one area that it will always take me far too long to figure out what I want going on there. And for the most part, I think I already kind of incorporated, like, at least for the girls' bedroom, what like extra little bits and pieces that I wanted there. So it's mainly just the main parents' bedroom and then the teen bedroom, which I honestly don't think I really incorporated much else in the teen's bedroom. Maybe I think I did add like a little desk situation or something. Or okay, I think I maybe added in some of the little ski stuff. Okay, that's what I did. I did like just a dresser and some ski stuff just for them to show how much they love going up into the Mount Komorebi mountains and skiing or snowboarding or whatever it is that they're into. I think now I can say I am officially kind of done with just about everything. I will say I think that there is a possibility that not all of the tables have the little hot pot bowls because for some reason they kept on disappearing. So I had to add them back a couple of times throughout the times that I was building because for some reason they kept on disappearing. And I can see two right now that don't have them. And I don't know if I realized before I finished if they were still missing or not. Because I can see right now that they are still missing in this moment in time. But I don't know if my brain was fully functioning by the time I finished doing this build. Because I was just trying to add in a few little bits and pieces here. I think it does function as a bar at this point in time because this was a lot that the bar was originally in Mount Komorebi. And so I think it is a functional bar at this point in time. So if you don't have business and hobbies, obviously it won't function like it should with businesses and hobbies, but you can still use it technically and just pretend that it functions properly, even though it doesn't, unfortunately. But I think that's pretty much the end of this build. I am so sorry that I made such a long video, especially with it being a speed build, so you just had to listen to me ramble on and on for so long. But I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you guys again next time. Bye!